All right. Thanks very much to everyone for joining us this morning. We're here to talk about Ker Downey Botswana. So I'd like to start off by introducing our esteemed panelists. We have Fran, the Managing Director of Ker Downey Botswana, to go through her product with us. So welcome, Fran. And we have Rogan Bartman, who is part of the African Focus team, and he'll be helping us today with the technical aspects of this webinar. So I just want to run through very quickly some of the technical stuff and how it works. Fran's obviously going to be presenting. I'm going to also be having to toggle with some settings regarding video and slides, so just bear with us when it comes to those points, please. Regarding questions, if you could please focus your attention 100% on typing in the Q&A column provided, and not the chat bar. You're welcome to chat to each other in the chat bar if you want, but we won't be monitoring that. So any questions that you'd like to pose to Fran, please do so. And Rogan will be monitoring the Q&A as we go along, and he'll bring any relevant questions into the webinar at a suitable time to Fran, so that she can then address them for you. Failing that, as I said, we're recording this webinar as well, so you please feel free to share this with your teams. Later today, we will send off an email to you guys with a link to the video recording of the webinar, as well as all of the Ker Downey collateral, marketing and sales collateral that Fran would like to share with you in the form of images and video to help you guys sell Ker Downey Botswana. Yeah, Rogan, is there anything that I have forgotten, or is that pretty much it?
No, I think you've covered everything, Andy. I see a question's already come through from one person before we even begin, just saying, please can we mention private vehicles as well as photographic vehicles during the presentation?
Yeah, 100%. It's part of it, part of my presentation.
Okay. Cool, guys. So yeah, thanks very much for tuning in, and we will send you, as I said, that follow-up email. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over remote control to Fran. And Fran, you can take remote control. Yeah, sorry, this is what happens. You need to go back and start the slideshow. I thought this might happen.
Okay.
It's a Zoom glitch.
It doesn't want me to click at the bottom, so bear with me.
There we go.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for tuning in. I'm seeing the numbers soar as I'm talking, so it's making me slightly nervous, but it's really, really heartwarming to see so many of you taking interest in Ker Downey and listening to me this morning. I've got some really interesting tidbits for you guys. I know a lot of you are already familiar with Ker Downey Botswana, so don't worry, it's not going to be your standard product presentation. I do have some kind of different topics to talk about, and then the second part of my presentation will be just a refresher on our camps. So I'd really like to start with access and talking about how you're getting into Botswana. And of course, this is all still up in the air. We are still waiting for our borders to open and information to come through from the government about when this will happen. But there's some really, really positive information coming in from the airlines already. We're seeing commitment from Qatar and Emirates that have teamed up with Airlink, so they'll be able to be providing access from South Africa, Johannesburg and Cape Town with Airlink up to Maun and Kasane. So they're already talking about opening up these routes. They haven't put out a schedule yet, but we are really, really optimistic and keeping our fingers crossed for when that's all going to happen. And if you're not flying up, it's very possible to access Botswana and us by road, via Victoria Falls, or self-driving up. This, I think, will be particularly important for the SADC market. If any of you are dabbling in the SADC market, it's really quite easy to drive up to Botswana, up to us in Maun, and then we can get you into our camps from Maun. And we're ideally located, being a country that's surrounded by Zim, Zambia, South Africa. You can really be putting some great combination country itineraries together using us. Then getting more specific, talking about Safari Air. So Safari Air is our sister company. It's a charter company that has its own air vans and caravans, and they're able to get you in and around the whole of northern Botswana. And they have an incredible safety record, really convenient to use, really professional, friendly pilots. and really competitive rates as well. Then moving on to something a little bit different, we've teamed up with Helicopter Horizons to be able to offer scenic flights for our guests, and we can offer these scenic flights out of Shinde Enclave. If guests are staying at Footsteps, they're also able to do it in Kanana. These are doors off scenic flights, really incredible for keen photographers. They like to go in the mornings or in the evenings when you get that golden light. Or equally, if you want to do it during siesta time, so you don't miss out on any of your other activities. Really, really great option, really unique way of experiencing the Delta. And we also do a champagne stop as well. So if you have any honeymooners or any kind of celebrations, let us know and we can organize that champagne stop for your guests. Then moving on to the Botswana. Go on, Rogan.
Fran, we've got a question from John. John just asking, is there safe parking in Maun for drivers?
Yes, there is. The airport's actually partly been rebuilt, and part of the whole refurbishment that's going on there is the parking. So we now have rental car areas where you can pick up or return your rental cars. There's short stay parking and long stay parking. It's not in operation yet, but hopefully it will be by the time that we've got international guests arriving back in Maun. So that's very, very possible. Otherwise, we can always organise that you come and park at our compound, which is a 5-minute drive away from the airport as well, if you're not able to get into the airport itself.
Perfect. Thanks, Fran.
Pleasure. Moving on to seasons. So it can be really complicated in Botswana, or it can be really simple. I like to look at it on the more simpler side, but every time of year has its nuances, has its advantages, has something different that it brings to the experience. And it's really down to what kind of experience that guest is wanting to get. So in terms of the seasons, we can divide it into a dry season and a wet season. The wet season is, we're actually coming into the wet season soon. So November, December, January, February is our green season, our wet season, and that's when we're getting the beautiful rains from the sky. The dry season, ironically, is when the flood arrives. So through June, right the way up till September, October, this is our dry season, but there's lots of water on the ground. This is kind of opposites. Wet season from the sky, dry season, lots of water on the ground. Then moving on to who is Ker Downey. So we are a very well-established company. We've been operating for over 55 years within the country, and we are owned by Chobe Holdings. So for those of you that know Chobe Holdings, you'll know that our sister companies are Desert and Delta Safaris, and then we have Chobe Game Lodge, and we also have Safari Air. So we're all based here in Botswana, 100% locally owned company listed on the Botswana Stock Exchange. And very much what we do is all based on the experience and high quality service. So we've got incredible wildlife areas, and we feel very, very responsible for the areas that we operate within. So we very much take our role as custodians of these beautiful wildlife areas very, very seriously. And we also have a huge commitment to the economic and social development of the country and the local communities that we operate within. So I want to take you back. I want to take you back to the history of where it all started. And it started up in East Africa with two gentlemen, a Donald and a Sid. And they were operating up in East Africa just after the Second World War. They were both born in 1905. And they actually, like many great stories, they met in a pub. They met in the captain's office in Addis. They met there and they got chatting about the challenges that they were facing as being independent one-man band operations. So then after a few other interactions out in the bush, they decided that they were going to partner up, and that was the birth of Ker Downey Safaris. Then fast forward a couple of decades into the 60s, they'd expanded their operations in East Africa, and they were now looking to move further afield down into Botswana. And that's when Harry Selby became part of Ker Downey. It was then known as Ker Downey Selby Botswana, quite a mouthful. And that's when we first started in Botswana, was the early 60s. By 68, the government had allocated the first photographic areas to Ker Downey. And that was actually Kwai River Lodge, which today is a Belmont property. So that was the first photographic concession within Botswana. And there was a huge movement away from the hunting side and the hunting concessions into a more sustainable photographic operations. And that's also why Botswana is very proud of being one of the first pioneer countries in terms of having this sustainable tourism model. Over the coming years, Ker Downey was very, very instrumental in setting up a lot of the very well-known areas that we know today, such as Mambo, Kwai, Kugana, Kwara, Pom Pom. At some stage in history, Ker Downey has been part of that development. And then going forward, we were looking at becoming independent. So all the other operations, so Ker Downey in Tanzania and Nepal, we were all one group. And then in 1996, everything got split up and separate. And that's when Ker Downey Botswana was actually born, and it was 100% locally owned within Botswana. In 1997, we secured some of the first concessions that we have today. So the first property that we got was Shinde. And then a year later, we set up Footsteps Across the Delta, which is the little adventure camp within the Shinde concession. Within quick succession, they were grabbing properties. We also got Akuti, which is in the Kakanika area. And then going forward after that, we came and got Kanana. So that was added a little bit later on. And then the most recent property that we actually acquired it in 2017, and we opened doors in 2018, was Danaka. So they're the properties that we have today. And we're always looking to grow and evolve and develop. It's certainly not the end of our story. We're certainly looking to expand and have new offerings all the time. And then also in terms of the people that we employ, it's really, really important to us that we develop that side of it. So this is our newest focus, and our biggest focus is on internal development, not adding new properties, but in terms of upskilling our staff and really sharing those skills, empowering people, creating more employment and more employment opportunities. So that then moves us on to our people. And, oops, sorry, skipped a little bit ahead. And it was actually Andrew himself that, when I first met him, he coined the expression, ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. And since he mentioned that phrase to me, it stuck and it really resonated. And it's very, very true. Our ladies and gentlemen are the backbone of our company. They're probably and arguably our biggest asset. And, you know, it's really, when you talk to guests that have been to Ker Downey, when you talk to agents that have been selling Ker Downey for a while and they know us well, they will always mention our people. And it's something that on every guest questionnaire, often the people get mentioned. And that's really at the heart of everything that we do here at Ker Downey. So we're really, as I've mentioned, and I keep going on about it, we value the people and their development. So we have an initiative and we call them our homegrowns. And it's actually young individuals, really enthusiastic individuals that are wanting to become guides. And we take them on straight out of school, straight out of their basic training, and we take them into the company and we expose them to the very best of our mentors. And our mentors are some of our longest standing guides or our specialist guides, and they get to go out with them and really learn from the best. And the whole point of it is to create these well-rounded individuals that hopefully will become part-time professional guides for us, but also there's a bigger picture for it. So if they do not stay with Ker Downey, they at least go on out into the tourism industry with some experience under their belt. We're also really proud of our management system and our management structure. So 100% Botswana management, we're 50% female management within the camps and also here in base as well. So there's really a lot of empowerment going on there. And in terms of our age demographic, it's huge. Some of our youngest employees are 18, 19. Some of our oldest, they probably don't want me to tell you how old, but they're definitely past retirement age and still going really, really strong. We have a lot of long-standing staff as well. So for some of you that have been to Shinde, you'll know B. He's an absolute legend. He's been with us, I think he's 37 years with us now. And then KP, she's one of the chefs at Shinde as well. So it really is a testament to the company that we're able to keep staff on for so long. Then moving on to our corporate social responsibility. Our main project is Banabalatsatsi, which is a children's centre here in Naun, looking after the most vulnerable children within the community, have all sorts of drama and issues going on in their life, and the centre really offers them an escape, offers them a safe place, offers them counselling, offers them sometimes the most basic things as a shower and a plate of food. So we are, completely dedicated to Banabalatsatsi. We have been for many years, and every single safari package that we book, a contribution goes directly to them. We also don't just support them in terms of money, we're also quite hands-on with it all, and we have a bush club that's running. And during this COVID time where we have no guests to look after, we've really been focusing on that. So every week we've been going to Banabalatsatsi, running a bush club, and it's kind of evolved. It's exciting to see what's happening. We're not just doing the environmental training and talking about wildlife, but we're also starting to do some creative writing, some poetry, some drama. We're really pulling on any skills that we have within our team here at Ker Downey, and we go to the centre and we pass that on to the children there. We also support a primary school, Matiba Primary School. It's a primary school that many of our staff's children have been to or currently go to. So we've been supporting them as well, and also going there in person and doing some kind of motivational speaking to them and talking to them about paths into tourism and talking to them about the importance of their exams and communication. So really getting involved with them as well. And then on the environmental side, we've got a new project that we're setting up. It's for Sylvinia. So for those of you that don't know Sylvinia, it's also known as Kariba weed. It's quite a plight here in the Delta. So we've already set up a Sylvinia project at Shinde and Akuti. So you get weevils, you release them into the water, they eat, and their hatchlings eat the invasive species. And we're currently in the process of setting it up at Kanana as well. So very much trying to do what we can, looking after the environment that we operate in. Then on to the current situation. So COVID, it's really the biggest challenge we've ever faced. And, as I mentioned, our staff are the backbone of Ker Downey. So without our staff, we aren't very much at all. So we've really committed to our employees. So we've kept every single employee. There's plus minus 180 of us. Nobody's been retrenched. Everybody's still here. Unfortunately, a lot of us are on reduced hours or at home, reduced salaries until we get guests back. But everybody is guaranteed that they do have their job. In terms of when we do open up, we are very ready. We've been ready for months. We never really weren't ready. We've put caretakers in all of the camps. We've gone through all of the COVID health and safety procedures that we need to do. We had a great opportunity in July, and then again over our independence, to actually open up one of our camps to the domestic market and really put everybody through their paces in terms of the new health and safety requirements. So we're very confident about the way forward and how we can provide a safe environment for not only our guests, but also our staff going forward. It's also been really interesting to see what's happened with the wildlife in this last year. It's incredible. I don't know if any of you follow us on Facebook or social media, but you'll see the lion cubs that were born at Kanana, and now they've just had cousins born as well. So it's been really great to follow them. They've literally been in the main area. Mum has dropped them off in the main area and gone out for the day and left our managers as babysitters. And also we are looking to the immediate future. We just don't know when international travel is going to open up again. Of course, we're optimistic about it, but we also need to do something now. So we are releasing SADC rates. They will be available. I've just finalized them, so it will be part of my follow-up email to you guys, will be the SADC rates. If you're interested in them, we're going to have puller rates and rand rates. and will be opening up in December. We've joined up with Desert and Delta Safaris. So on a Ker Downey side, we're offering Shinde Shinde Enclave and Danaka, and then Desert and Delta's offering Camp Maremi, Savuti Safari Lodge, and Chobe Game Lodge. So you can mix and match those properties, and that's going to be available December, January, February, March. We're going right up to the end of March with these SADC specials. And here they are. But as I say, I will pass them on to you. We're really trying to offer something very, very affordable. We've got flying with Safari Air, really great flying rates. What's great about combining us with Safari Air is we've actually got control of the whole process from you arriving at Mount Airport with Safari Air into the camps and all of the COVID compliance that goes along with all of those logistics. Then we have a Shinde Enclave package, which this goes back to the question right at the beginning about private vehicles and private activities. This is the ultimate in an exclusive experience. I'll talk a little bit more about Shinde Enclave, but just keep at the back of your mind, we do have a SADC package that's available with a private charter available with that as well. Why Ker Downey Botswana is safe? So this is still tied into our new circumstances going forward with operating. You know, we're very, very exclusive, as is most safari lodge experiences. There's very few people in huge big areas, and we have even some really small camps like Footsteps and Enclave where you're taking just up to 6 people or just your direct friends or family that you want to be around. Also with our game viewers, we have a maximum 4 people on a vehicle. So naturally, social distancing. We can book private vehicles in any of our properties, just book them ahead of time. We have some quite competitive rates on private vehicles. And if you get a private vehicle, it essentially means private activities as well. And also we're operating in remote areas. So our staff are going into camp for up to 3 months. So they're only interacting with guests. There's very little outside interaction that's going on. So now moving into the properties themselves, we have Shinde and Kanana, there are private concessions. We have Akuti that's in the Maremi Game Reserve, and we have Footsteps, which is our little adventure camp. Then we have Danaka down in the central Kalahari, really great combination in conjunction with Okavango Delta. So you guys...
Before you begin there, I've just got somebody asking a question. Eugenia's just asking if do you have updated COVID-19 cancellation policies?
Yes, we do, absolutely. So what I'll do is when I send our follow-up email, I'll send you a link to our agents kit. And in the agents kit is our those policies that you're referring to for new bookings, cancellations. I've also got our health and safety document as well, which says what we're doing in the camps. So I'll make sure that you've got all that information, no problem.
Thanks, Fran.
So you guys are actually the first people to see the new images of Shinde. They haven't been released anywhere. I managed to get a few advanced photos purely for this presentation to be able to share it with you. So you are absolutely the first people that have seen these. I don't have the full image library yet. We're also producing some videos. So if you can be a little bit patient and wait, I will be able to do a full launch of Shinde and provide you with all of that content. But for the time being, I just have a few little photos to show you. I'm just flicking through these slides, and I've put these in because I will save this PowerPoint presentation in the agents kit as well. So if you want to go back and look at our packages, look at our rates, they are all there, and the summaries of the camps as well. With this webinar, I don't have quite so much time to go into the nitty-gritty, but it is all there available for you, and it's a resource that you can use. But just talking about our safari packages, I do think that they need special mention. They really are competitive, and I feel for a 5-star offering at these rates, really competitive. And it's great that you can combine the different camps, and also the longer you stay with us, the better the discount on the rates, basically. So come and stay for 6 nights as opposed to 3. Okay, so we should finally be getting to Shinde, I'm hoping. Okay, yeah, here we go. So this is Shinde. So we rebuilt the whole of camp. I actually spent the whole of lockdown there. I was on site for 3 months whilst we did the whole rebuild. It's complete now. We're ready to welcome guests. As I mentioned, we're opening up in December. So we've rebuilt the whole of the main area, all of the rooms. We've converted it to solar, and we've really gone for this luxury, authentic, classic safari style. So it is built in a treehouse style. Look, we're not reinventing the wheel here. Shinde is one of the most well-loved camps, historical camp. It's definitely one of our busiest camps. Shinde and Kanana are always kind of on par in terms of occupancies. So we very much wanted to pay the old camp homage. So we've kept this multi-tiered main area. It's got 2 lounges, it's got 2 dining areas, so you can dine inside or outside. But what we have really improved on is the view. So the whole of camp is overlooking permanent water. The whole of the main area of camp's overlooking this permanent water. So this is a main channel with a lagoon. You can see from this image, you've got all the water out in front of you. You can see it from lounges, from dining. There's even a little sunken area. It's very, very beautiful. We also have a little breakaway area where we can do private dinners for honeymooners or any kind of special celebration. And then these are the tents. So we've also added, or not added, one of the rooms is a family room. So it's still 8 tents, but one of them is a family room, which we never had before at Shinde. Because we have this family room now, and because we do get a lot of family safaris and families coming through our circuit, we've also dropped the minimum age at Shinde to 7. So now the whole portfolio is a minimum age of 7, with the exception of the walking safari, which is obviously for adults. So each room has indoor and outdoor shower. You can just see out the window there, there's the outdoor shower, 100% solar. So you've got lights right the way through 24 hours. You've got charging points. You've got every kind of luxury that you can think of in the rooms. And a very beautiful, calming, cooling color palette to the whole camp. We've also moved the location of the pool. Unfortunately, I don't have an image of that, but it's also overlooking the water, and it's like its own little oasis. And once you're there at the pool area, you don't even know the rest of the world is there.
And can I just quickly ask, just for my own knowledge, obviously this is all very new for us too, the family tent, can you explain the layout?
Yes, so it's we've kind of stuck to a tried and tested formula with our family tents. So it's 2 bedrooms with a shared ensuite bathroom. We are very flexible with how we accommodate families. So some families want to all be together under the same roof, so this is ideal, especially if it's smaller children. You've got the 2 bedrooms, the kiddies can't escape, they have to come through the parents' room to get in and out, so you've got that security. Also, if you've got older kids that have maybe been on safari before and they want their own tent, it's entirely up to the family how they do their rooming. But it's nice, big, spacious room, and we can actually accommodate up to 5 in the family room.
Is it a similar footprint to Danaka then? That for the family tent to Danaka?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I will put a layout together of the family room so that you can see what that configuration is, but it's 2 bedroom shared bathroom. Then moving on to...
Got you on questions there. Sorry, Fran. I've got another one from Petra just asking, for your game drive vehicles, is there a maximum of 4 packs in all of the camps?
Yes, so 4 packs. The only exception is if you're here at Shinde Enclave, because we assume that you want to be together. So we put you on 1 vehicle if it's 5 or 6 of you. And then the other exception is at Footsteps, where we have the 1 vehicle. But obviously the focus there is either on the family safari where you all stay together, or the walking safari where most of the time you are out on foot and the vehicle is used more for night drives or getting backwards and forwards from your walks. So the vehicles actually have 2 rows of seats. There's 3 seats in each row. Really easy to get in and out of as well. We have courtesy lights. We can take the roofs off. There's camera mounts as well in every single vehicle. So having a window seat guarantee means that you also have your own camera mount. You've got lots of space to keep your equipment as well.
Great, thank you, Fran.
So moving on to Shinde Enclave, we also completely rebuilt the area over the last few months. And this is really great for somebody that's wanting something a little bit more exclusive. So It accommodates up to 6 people. So it's great for a group of friends or family wanting to travel together. You do all of your dining here. You have your own lounge. You can spend the evening around your own private campfire. You have your own private guide, private vehicle. You have your own waiter. So really, I do feel that going forward, where people are wanting something a little bit more exclusive, book a private charter plane and you really have the ultimate in exclusivity. And again, with the rooming, it's up to the individual booking. So if it's a family, they can use the family room and other twin rooms if they want to, or if it's a group of friends, then we can use the normal twin or double rooms. So we've kind of made that a little bit more flexible for the enclave, particularly as we're often accommodating families, and we're doing the Young Explorers Safari from the enclave area. So essentially, if you've got guests that are wanting a 5-star experience, but they want that specialist family guide with them, then we'll do it from the enclave. So naturally, having a family room made sense for us when we were designing camp.
And then I've got John asking if there's pools.
So there's 1 pool in camp. We don't have 2 pools. So if enclave guests want to use the pool, they head up to the main area pool. The enclave guests are welcome to use any of the camp. They are, we don't restrict them to their private enclave area. We just reserve it for them. So if they do want to, sometimes they want to go up and do pre-dinner drinks with the rest of the people in camp, meet some new people, and then head back to their own private area. They're more than welcome to do any of that and use all of the facilities in camp.
Great. And then I've got one more there, Fran. I have just Petra wanting to know, she said she might have missed it, but I don't think so. Do clients need to wear a mask on the vehicles and in the camps while walking around and being in the restaurants?
So the Botswana policy is that you have to wear masks in public at all times. So yes, when you're in camp, you will have to wear masks. It will then be up to the individuals, the guides there, whether any of this is relaxed a little bit. But with social distancing, if you are on your own or you are with your family, if you are with people that you live with or your household, you obviously don't have to be wearing those masks. It's when you come into contact with other people. And we very much understand that we're going to get guests on a spectrum. We're going to get guests that are very fearful and very much want to stick to all the guidelines, all the regulations, even the recommendations. And then we're going to have guests on the other end of the spectrum that are really very relaxed about it all and are feeling very comfortable about it all. And it's our job to be able to make everybody feel comfortable. And we also have to be responsible for our staff as well. But to be honest, we've all been wearing these masks for months now. And in camps, what we've actually found is going for the clear visor is the best option, because you can still see the person, you can still see their expression, and it's just much more personal if you've got a little bit of perspex in front of you than a mask that's blocking half your face. So as I say, we did open in July, so we did try and test it all, and the staff are very comfortable with it. So we hope that when guests do travel, they also feel very comfortable.
Thanks, Fran.
Then moving on to Footsteps Camp. So this is the home to Footsteps Across the Delta, which is our specialist walking safari. Then we have Young Explorers, which is our specialist family safari. And as I mentioned earlier, with the family safari, you get exclusive use of the camp. So it's just you and your family. Whereas with the walking safari, we can actually take up to 6 people. Minimum age is 16. It's very much catering to adults. And very, very rustic, simplistic, off the beaten track camp. It's an absolute gem. It's in a really gorgeous location overlooking a permanent hippo pool. Incredible. It's the ultimate in an immersive experience. So you're here in this little camp. You can see it's very much barefoot luxury. Kick your shoes off, get your toes in the sand. You're heading out on walks with a specialist trained walking guide. So they're in this area all the time, out on foot, and they can take you out and you can have some incredible wildlife experiences out on foot. We also do game drives. We can also do night drives as well. We can do fishing and we can do makoroing from the camp. But walking very much takes center stage in terms of the activities. These are the rooms, so they're all en suite. At the back of your room, you have a hot water bush shower, you've got a proper flushing toilet, so you do have all your creature comforts. And the food is amazing. It's all cooked on a campfire. You can actually go back of house, meet Demo, the chef. He's a really great guy. See how he made your lemon drizzle cake in a tin box on a fire. It's really, really amazing, the quality of food that he produces. And you know, this is a more simple camp, but in terms of the service and the guiding, it's still right up there on the 5-star range. Then moving on to young explorers, I have a little video here, so fingers crossed our technical team goes okay. So I want to show you a video of young explorers because it really just highlights how incredible this experience can be for a family.
Okay, I'm going to take back control. Give me a second while I try and figure this out.
Sip of water.
All right, give me one more second. All right, you can take back control, Fran.
Okay.
Okay, do you want to go to the next slide, Fran? Okay, cool. I'm going to take back control for a second.
If the videos aren't showing up so well for you, don't worry, they are all in the agent's kit, and there's more. We're actually also producing a couple of videos for Shinde and Shinde Enclave as well, but I will update you when they are added into the agent's kit.
You have control again, Fran.
Thanks very much, Andy. So yeah, young explorers, it's the ultimate playground for a family. It's just incredible how many different things you can do out in the bush, and it's a really interactive and engaging experience. We very, very quickly realized that children don't want to sit on a game viewer sitting still, being quiet on their best behavior. They're also on holiday. And equally, it's not just about the children, it's about the whole family, and it's about creating these shared memories together. I think in these really busy times, we very, very often neglect this quality time as a family, and there's nothing better than sitting with your loved ones around a campfire. There's no Wi-Fi, no signal anywhere, so there's no devices, and it's really a wholesome experience. And we feel a bit of a responsibility, really, to have an impression on these young minds, and one day when they grow up and they're potentially making decisions that impact the environment or impact local communities, or whatever way it is, that they will remember their childhood holiday to Botswana, and it will have some positive impact on them going forwards in their lives. We also have the family tent here as well, so everybody's under the same roof, again, sleeps up to 5 people. So just recapping on the Footsteps camp, it's one camp with 2 different safaris. So it's either the walking safari or the family safari, and it can accommodate up to 6, and it's always hosted by a specialist guide. Our specialist guides are Noah and Opie. Some of you might have met them along your way.
Fran, just on that, I got a question from Cecilia who's come through. She's just wanting to know if the location of the camps changed during the walking safaris or not.
Okay, that's a good question. No, it's in the one location. Previously, I talked about the history of footsteps. It was actually was the second camp we had after Shinde. Back in the day, they did used to have different satellite camps. But what we really found is that you are then quite restricted to getting from A to B. So it doesn't matter what the wildlife's doing, you have to head in that direction because camp's in that direction. So then we had the one camp, and what this gave us was much more flexibility. Also having the vehicle there as well. So each day you can go and explore a different area, and you can either walk from camp, so you can head out on foot from camp, or you can drive out on the vehicle and walk a different area. Equally, in the afternoons, we will often surprise guests with a sundowner setup. And obviously you don't want to be walking back to camp in the dark with a couple of GNTs inside you. So the vehicle will take you back as well. So it is the one location. We do close the camp December, January, February, which is our rainy season. Not so great to be walking in the rain. So that is the downtime for the camp, but otherwise it's open the rest of the year.
Right. And then just another question that's come through from Zander. He's just asking if it's booked as a family, are there any limitations on walking? So can the family do walking, and is there a limit on the age?
Also a really, really good question. So in terms of our family policy, and this includes the young explorers at Footsteps, the minimum age of the camp is the minimum age of the activities. And this is across the board. And by activities, I include walking, makorowing, the sleep out decks. Obviously, safety is paramount and safety comes first. So it's completely up to the discretion of the managers and the guide. If they feel that any activity, actually for any age person, is not going to be safe, then they do reserve the right to pull that activity. But with families, it's the same as any other guest. You know, they can go out on these activities, and it's very, very tailor-made to those individuals that are doing that activity. So if we've got a family going out, we stay closer to the vehicle. The guides will go to different areas, knowing if there's different wildlife in the area. You know, when you take adults out and the guide feels very comfortable with them, he will often take them into an area where there's elephants, and you can go and get some really great elephant sightings on foot. With a family, you're probably not going to be walking up to elephants quite so quickly. So it's really just tailored, and our guides have got loads of training. We do training every year. We've done specialist trails guide training with them. So every guest has their activities tailor-made to them, but they're all accessible to everybody.
Thanks, Fran.
Then moving on to Kanana. So moving on to Kanana, I just really, really want to highlight to you the unique elements of it. But before I do that, we have another video.
Okay, I'm just going to take back control. And you can take back control, Fran.
Thanks, Andy.
Cool. Give me a second.
Yeah. So with Kanana, and by the way, that video was filmed in 4 days. We really saw all of that wildlife. It's such a game-rich area. It was, we actually pinched ourselves. We couldn't believe how lucky we were, because normally when they hear that there's a film crew or a camera crew coming in, everything scatters to the far corners. Yeah, it's a really, really special place. And as I mentioned at the beginning, now during lockdown, we've had some incredible sightings of wild dog coming through camp, and the leopard and her family has moved into camp. So really, really well-rounded private concession offering a whole variety of activities, land and water-based. I'm just flicking through these so you can get an idea of the camp, but I really want to focus on the unique selling points of the property. And those unique selling points, beyond incredible wildlife, are the heronry. And this is a very, very special site. It's one of the largest breeding sites in Southern Africa. And it's very, very important for the pinkback pelicans. And various bird species go there. We have exclusive access to it, so we can get there either by boat or Makoro, and you can go out. It really converts everybody into keen twitchers. Even if you're not really into birds, going out here, it's just a spectacular sight to behold and hear and even smell, because they smell quite a lot. But it's a great experience.
Can I ask you to explain what heronry is, Fran, just for some of us?
Yeah, okay. So it's this site, and it's waterberries. They're the trees that you're seeing, and all the storks and the birds and various species come to this one area. And the reason that they come here is because they have everything that they need for their breeding season. So they've got a very safe place to nest. It's very safe because it's surrounded by water, so predators can't get there, whether it's genets or elephants or whatever's going to disturb their nesting site. It's very protected away from them. They've also got a food source, so there's a big lagoon in the area, so they've got plenty of fish, or they can head out further afield. And it's a really, really good breeding area for them, and they congregate and they live happily alongside each other for a few months whilst they're breeding. And it starts in June, July. You know, it is nature, you can't put an exact date on it, but June, July, the birds start arriving, and then come the first rains that we receive, December time, then they head off. But in general, the birding at Kanana is incredible. When I was there doing the video, we saw 2 pairs of Pearl's fishing owl. One of them was in the daytime, and then another pair we actually saw. We were driving back from doing some stuff at the sleep out deck, and there they were out over a channel, sat there fishing. So really, really great location for keen birders. Another unique selling point there is the sleep out deck. It's a really beautiful experience. You can spend the night out under the stars. We've made it really, really easy to use. So you just need to book 3 or more nights in camp, and then you can book the sleep out deck, no extra charge at all. And how it works is you have dinner in camp. After dinner, you head out on a night drive. You come across the platform, all lit up with the lanterns, and you can spend the night out there. In the morning, the guide wakes you up with tea, coffee, whichever beverage you like, and then you head back to camp for breakfast. We can also do families here as well. So if you've got a family or part of a family that wants to experience the sleep out deck, they're more than welcome to do that.
Fran, well, I've got you there.
Yeah.
I've got Marco just asking for the walking safaris. Is it always possible at Shinde and Kanana, or do they have to ask in advance if a walking guide's available for a certain travel date?
Okay, no, so we actually really push walking with all of our guests. It's one of those activities that a lot of people going into their safari or first time going on safari don't really give much second thought to. But once they go out and they do a walking safari, and a lot of our guides really kind of promote it a lot, it's often the highlight of their trip. So you can do walking safaris, Shinde, Kanana, Danaka. The only place you can't do walking is at Akuti because it's in the Moremi Game Reserve. But we will really be encouraging all guests to at least go on a walk once, do a night drive once, all these kind of more unusual activities. We very much endorse them. And of course, it's the guest's choice. It's their safari. They can decide what they want to do when they want to do it. But it's definitely something that doesn't need to be organized ahead of time or anything like that.
Great. Thanks, Fran.
So next we're moving on to Akuti, within the Moremi Game Reserve, world-renowned wildlife area. It's spectacular. It's so diverse. It's really picturesque, very, very photographic. So you've got areas like Dead Tree Island or hippo pools, really, really brilliant locations. My personal favorite is heading out on the boats in the afternoon. for sundowners. I mean, I love sundowners, but also particularly there because you have all the bird life flying in overhead, coming into land, and you can watch the sunset across the Kakanika Lagoon. So the lagoon is like glass, like a mirror. It's so beautiful. Akuti is really great for families as well. We have 2 family rooms. It's all raised up on wooden walkways. So if you have any guests with mobility issues, very, very accessible. And it's all overlooking a permanent channel. So you have water in front of all of the rooms and the main area. So the activities that are on offer here are game drives into the Moremi Game Reserve, and then also the boat excursions onto some of the most beautiful water within the Okavango Delta.
Can I come in here very quickly? Just from a personal perspective, for me, Akuti, because it's kind of, you can see it's down at sort of towards the wider section of the Okavango Delta itself, and it's almost towards the corridor up towards the Linyanti and the Savuti. You start having these amazing Mopani woodlands. So the front of camp looks onto these massive waterways, bigger than the other camps. And then just off the back of camp, you start having these amazing Mopani woodlands, dry, so you can have elephants at sunset kicking up red, dusty Mopani felt. But within 10 minutes, you're back onto a waterway with palm trees and islands. And it's this amazing marriage of the Miombo woodland area of the Savuti, Linyanti, and the Delta, right on your doorstep. And with that comes a massive diversity of game. So for me, Akuti is just, you can't miss it out, or the Moremi itself, should I say, because the Delta, the other 2 camps are quintessential Delta, palm tree islands, waterways, beautiful game viewing, but Akuti offers something completely different from a vegetation perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why it's got the highest level of protection being a game reserve, is because it's the epicenter of this wildlife experience. And the area really should be combined in every itinerary. And it's a huge area. So we'll often encourage guests to go and do a full day trip where we'll pack a picnic lunch for them and they can head out and literally drive to the horizon. It's such an incredible, really, really incredible place.
Cool. Well, I've got 2 questions jumping out of that.
Yeah.
So I have Martha just asking, what is the name of the waterway at Akuti? Do you know the name of it?
Yes, so it's the Manachira River, and it's actually one of the main fingers of the Delta, and it becomes the Kwai River. So when it goes through the Kwai village, it changes from the Manachira to the Kwai River. So it is, it's a significant waterway, and it's there right the way through the year. There's actually very, very little fluctuation between high flood level and low flood level, literally like this much maybe.
And then another person saying, is it true that Akuti is now closing for refurbishment? If so, when?
No, it's not closing at the moment. We will in the future sometime. We've obviously just rebuilt Shinde. We refurbished Kanana last year. We rebuilt Danaka the year before that. So naturally, it's going to be the next camp that gets looked at. We just need lots of guests to come first.
And then people are jumping with questions now. So going from camp to camp, do you offer road transfers or charter?
So you can self-drive between Maun and Akuti and Danaka. So Akuti and Danaka you can access by road. Kanana, Shinde and Footsteps you can only access by plane. We have our private airstrips there. We also have a private airstrip at Danaka, so you can fly into those properties as well.
Great, thanks, Fran. There's 2 more, but I'm going to leave them for the end of the session.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Rogan. So we're actually going to move down now into the Central Kalahari. And just to give you an idea of logistics, it's a 30-minute flight in an air van or a caravan from Maun to Danaka. And it's located right on the northern boundary of the Central Kalahari Game Reserve. So it's actually a private conservancy that we own and operate within, really, really big area. And it's a great contrast to the Okavango Delta. Really, really unique area in terms of its wildlife experience, in terms of its terrain. It's kind of arid and harsh and beautiful at the same time.
Just quickly, while I'm going to stop the video, can guests fly directly from the Delta to Danaka from the camps?
Yes, they can. They can. So we offer direct flights, and actually, I think very few people know the logistics of getting from the Delta down into these different areas, whether it's into the Pans or the Mkhadi or into the Kalahari. Often charter companies will bring the guests from the Delta back to Maun, where you have to get off the plane, go back through the whole rigmarole of security, and then get back on another small aircraft. It takes a while, and then fly down to those other areas. Whereas we fly direct. So you can, in 50 minutes, be going from Shinde to Danaka. And we've also common rated those flights. So it costs you the same as going Maun Shinde as it does going Shinde Danaka. So we really tried to open up the logistics of that.
Cool, over to you with the video. Okay, I'm just going to quickly change the settings again.
Yeah, sure. So with Danaka, we opened the doors in 2018, and we were really wanted to add something to our portfolio that lived up to the other camps. You know, we wanted something that you could combine with Shinde or Kuti or Kanana, and it wasn't, you know, it was really going to live up to those quite iconic Delta locations. And we really found a gem in Danaka. It's got so much to offer, and it's very diverse in terms of its activities as well. So we're doing some quite different things there, and that's really what I want to focus on in the last little bit of our presentation, is what you can do down there. And in terms of the wildlife, it's very unique. It's very different. You're seeing things that you don't really see up in the Delta, like your oryx and your eland and springbok and brown hyena, and one of my personal favorites is the bat-eared fox. I just think they're super adorable, and it's very abundant because we have these permanent water holes within the area. And then in terms of structures, we have a lookout deck where we can go and do surprise sundowners. We have a couple of different hides. We've got an underground photographic bunker, and I actually just want to talk a little bit about the sleep out deck as well. So it's different experience to the Kanana sleep out deck. You're in the Kalahari, as you can see, flat as a pancake. You can almost see the curvature of the earth from this vantage point. And it's just incredible waking up in the morning and seeing the sun break the horizon. Again, it works like the Kanana sleep out deck. Book 3 or more nights and you can book the sleep out deck, no extra charge. And then there's the photographic bunker, and really we're developing Danaka, and it's an ongoing journey, an ongoing process, and we've really brought in some of the best in the industry to help us with this. We're not the specialist photographers, so we go out and we seek people to assist us, like James Gifford. He's a wildlife photographer. He actually does all of our photographic content and all of our videos. We've had the guys from Earth Arc, Danny Kraus. We've had the guys from Pangolin Safaris. Pangolin Safaris have really helped us developing this, and they've spent quite a bit of time down at the photographic bunker. And we want to really put this on the map as a specialist photographic destination. Yes, of course, it is for your standard safari goer, but if you've got keen photographers or you run groups where you take them and you guide them and you're a professional photographer yourself, and we really want this to be at the forefront of your mind, because for various reasons, our vehicles and our flexibility around that, the flexibility when you're in camp, and this is not just at Danaka, but everywhere. You know, you want to go out at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. We're quite happy to accommodate that. You want to stay out there and have muffins and coffee brought to you. Meanwhile, we'll just load it in the vehicle anyway and take it for you. You know, lots of flexibility, and that's what photographers really crave and need to get a productive trip. So this is the underground photographic bunker, and you literally are, you go down and you pop up and you're looking out at eye level at your subject. This is actually one of the photos that the Pangolin Safari guys got. And when they were down there, they've got a whole collection of brilliant, brilliant images. So it's very, very special. And we are looking to expand on this as well. So if you've got keen photographers or you are a specialist photographic guide, let us know, and we can work together to put some amazing packages together for you.
This is the product that's open for the SADC market, right?
Yes, so we are. Yeah, so because we're open to the SADC market, if we've got agents that would love to come and see Shinde, come and do an educational with us, see the rebuild, or if you'd like to come to Danaka and experience it and see it, or you want to come and get your own content, if you're a photographer, please, doors are open. Let me know. Obviously, we're waiting on the borders to open, but as soon as they do, I hope you're coming to us en masse.
I've got a few questions that are popping up here, Fran.
Yeah.
One of them being just wanting to know which are the self-drive camps from Maun. That's Martha.
Yeah, so you can self-drive to Danaka and Akuti. So to give you an idea, from Danaka to Maun is 3.5 hours. It's quite an easy drive. Most of it's on a single sand track, and then you have a Kelcrete road. Going to Akuti can be a little bit more grueling, particularly if you're going in the green season, and that'll be about 4 or 5 hour drive from Maun into Akuti. It is one of the main drags that goes up from Maun, Kakanika, Kwai, Savuti, that kind of area. So you can put it in a really great self-drive itinerary. That's also why we worked with Desert and Delta for our SADC options. You can actually self-drive to all of the properties apart from Shinde that's open. So to give you an idea of a really cool itinerary, you could do Danaka, then you could drive to Akuti, then you could drive to Savuti Safari Lodge, and then you could drive up to Chobe Game Lodge, all of it with your own vehicle. All-wheel drive experience is highly recommended.
Yeah, and for South Africans, just very quickly, you know, guys, Botswana is not, in general, it's not really affordably accessible for most South Africans. And we don't know if it will be, you know, again in time, because it's such a sought after destination. So you guys need to flood these packages with the South African market, because it's on everyone's bucket list. If it's not on a South African's bucket list, I'd eat my hat. If you love safari and you love the outdoors and you love wildlife, this is the perfect opportunity for them to splurge and still affordably be able to. It's not going to be cheap, but it's going to be an affordable way for them to be able to do Botswana, which they might not be able to do for years to come. So please, guys, support the SADC package that's going to come out to you guys.
Yeah, and just echoing what Andy's saying, I'm just looking at the rate sheet here. We're talking to stay at Danaka or to stay at Shinde, we're talking about 3,700 Rand per person per night. It's for 5-star pristine Botswana. It's really, really an amazing opportunity. We have to see the silver lining in everything, and otherwise we'll just go crazy. So this is that silver lining, is that we can get to these areas that wouldn't otherwise be available at any of our price points.
And your inclusions on the SADC very quickly.
Yeah, okay. So inclusions, basically everything: drinks, activities, meals, yeah, everything. If you're booking the nightly rate, it's tiered. So if you 1 to 3 nights, it's X amount. 4 to 7 nights, it's X amount. 7 up.
Why bring that in? Most of the South African products have this. You know, a lot of the South African products that have been open to the South African market have you know, excluded drinks and all sorts of stuff for a similar rate, or you know, rate twice as expensive as that. So it's a hell of a deal, is the point I was trying to make.
Yeah, and also the flying is really, really affordable as well. I think off the top of my head, I think it's like less than 2,000 rand to be doing per person to be doing these flights. So it's, again, that is really, we've really cut everything right back to be able to offer these great rates. And I think we're all in the same situation. We need to get some business going, and this is definitely a way to do it in the immediate future. And we are definitely looking at carrying this on into the future. I think a lot of things have changed with COVID, and I think that new markets that were never really looked at before, or were kind of written off before, are maybe now back on the table. So yeah, it's we're really hoping that this SADC rate can gain some traction. So in terms of the booking period for that, you can book it anytime from now. I'll distribute those rates anytime from now up to the 1st of December. Then closer to that time, we will just look at and see the situation. Everything's evolving so quickly, we just don't know where we'll be at in terms of our international travel come the end of the year.
And that's what I make something clear here, guys, because we had, when we started pushing out our South African resident rates, we had operators and people coming through saying, well, I can't. And we've got some international people listening, and operators and agents listening in today. And why can't you normally offer those rates? Well, the honest truth is that at the SADC rates that Ker Downey's offering, they're still running at a loss. They're just not running at 100% loss. They're keeping 180 people employed on salaries. They've got their reps involved. They've got teams all over the world. So they've been running at a complete loss for the longest time. They'll still be running at a loss at their SADC rates, but at least their staff will be able to start operating correctly again. And you don't want your teams to get rusty, and you need your guys out there guiding, and you need your guys in the kitchen, and it also creates a morale. They're proud. They're so desperate to start operating again. So they're still running at a loss. Don't make any mistake. They're just doing it to try and cover some of their costs. All right. Thanks, Fran. Sorry, back to you.
Yeah, and then Fran, there's quite a few questions that have built up, but I think let's finish and then I can get to all the questions.
I'm almost there. The last thing I wanted to talk about at Danaka is this really brilliant experience that we offer. It's a cultural experience, a cultural exchange, and it's an educational walk with the Sand Bushmen. So you go out with these guys here. In these photos, you've got Guma and Kumsa, and they take you out, and they really kind of share their incredible knowledge that's been passed down from generation to generation, their survival techniques. You go out and you learn how to make fire with friction. You learn about medicinal uses of plants. You learn about how they track wildlife, and it's absolutely incredible. I kind of, when I went out with them, I kind of thought tracking wildlife meant you look for spoor in the sand. No, not at all. There's so many other signs, and you need to read the bush, and it's really great. It's done in a very dignified way, and these guys are the experts, and it's just a great experience, great for families, great for everybody to go out. We typically do it in the morning. It's a little bit cooler. You are out on foot, and you can go out with these guys, and it's interactive. So it's not a demonstration. It's not dramatized in any way. We're not pretending that this is how they live. It really is a knowledge-based exchange, and you can taste things, you can smell things, you can get involved, you can ask questions. They're so proud of who they are, their culture, their history, that they just want to share it with whoever's interested. So we really encourage that guests ask questions, weird and wonderful questions, and they absolutely love it. And they really got great personalities, great sense of humor, great characters, and I like it when they draw comparisons between different cultures. So maybe my British culture and their culture, and they'll say, we're always about being on time. And they say, well, in Bushman culture, there is no time. So it's, a great experience. And everybody that goes there, it's often the highlight of their time at Danaka. And incredible wildlife. This is why you're coming on safari at the end of the day, is to see these beautiful locations and incredible wildlife. So Rogan, do you want to go through some more questions?
Yes, please. There's quite a few, so let's just get through some of them. I'm going to go through the ones now that are relating to Danaka, since we've just had that. I think you might have mentioned it, but just in case, they were just, Johan's wondering how long it takes to drive from Mount to Danaka.
It's about 3.5 hours, but give yourself lots of time. But it's quite a good drive down there, yeah.
Christine was just wanting to know what the extra charge is for the Danaka sleep out for a 2-night stay.
So you have to take your luck and see if it's available when you're there in camp. We do give precedence 2 or 3 night stays. So if you want to do it, try and get your guests to book those 3 nights. We don't add an extra charge on.
Great. I've got another question coming through on the photographic side. Having a photographic hide, do you offer photographic equipment?
We don't offer photographic equipment. It's not something that we do. We would need to look at a third party that would be able to assist with that.
Great. And then Judy is just wanting to know, are any of your camps accessible for guests with mobility issues or wheelchair users?
Yeah, great question. So we've really worked towards being more accessible. So at Shinde, you can actually access all of the main areas. There's ramps between all of them, and the rooms, there's no step into the rooms. So kind of rule of thumb is if you are able to get in and out of a small aircraft, of course we can assist you, but if you're able to get in and out of a small aircraft, you're able to come on safari with us. The most wheelchair accessible camp is Akuti. Danaka, we have 2 rooms that are wheelchair accessible. The whole of the main area is wheelchair accessible. There's 2 camps that aren't really wheelchair accessible. That's Kanana. We do have a staircase at the front and back of camp, and then footsteps as well. It's all down in the sand. So what we like to do is really get to understand the specific guests' needs and requirements, because we want them to feel really comfortable when they come to us. So we want to know whatever it is, however we can assist them, and we will have, very detailed conversation about what we can offer, what we can't offer, what they need. And our staff are so lovely. They really make people feel at home and comfortable, and they're very, very happy to assist guests. So we try to be as accessible as possible. We also work with a company that specializes in disabled safaris, Endeavour Safaris. We work with them as well, and they often stay at Akuti. So if that's your niche, then we can help you with that as well.
Cool. I have Marion asking if it's best to start at Danaka and then move up to the Delta, or do you think it's best to get the clients to end at the Danaka? And she says, thanks for a great webinar.
Thank you so much. Actually, you can do either. It is, so for your first stop, it's got the incredible wildlife. Often guests are climbing off the plane going, I want to see a lion. You'll see a lion. So it's great to be that first stop and then head up into the Delta. Equally, it can be your last stop. Your last stop, you're often wanting to do more unusual safaris, maybe your activities, maybe you're getting into your plants or your wildflowers or your birding, or actually being on safari is quite exhausting, and your last camp, you want to spend the morning in camp on your deck. There's a waterhole right there in front of you. We can bring breakfast to your room and you can just have a really, really relaxing time of it. So it doesn't matter if it's at the beginning or the end. It's a great starting point and it's a great ending point. And so use it however you want to. Great,
almost there. So I have Martha she's just asked a general question asking what has happened to Air Botswana. Not too sure on that one.
So, well, they're still operating. They have put on flights domestically. So they've been flying between Maun and Gaborone and Gabs and Kasane. So they're operating. I haven't heard anything to the contrary. They haven't told us when they're going to be opening up regionally, but that I imagine will go hand in hand with the borders opening. Equally, I wish that I had news for people on the borders. We just don't. We don't have inklings. There's lots of rumors, but there's nothing, concrete or substantive or from a reliable source yet. We're hoping sometime in November the borders will open. How, when, we just don't know yet. But definitely I'll keep you all in the loop. As soon as I know it, the world will know.
Okay, and then this one's quite a long one. I'm just going to read it and hope that it comes across correctly. Shane's asking, is there any plan to attract tourists and cater to people from new markets? I'm in Kenya, and here in East Africa, despite international flights opening since July or August, international arrivals have dropped around 85 to 90% in places such as Kenya and Zanzibar. A major reason for the drop is that most returning Europeans must self-isolate for 14 days when returning from East Africa. However, the Middle East does not have this requirement, and this is a potential market. Are there options such as halal food available? And that's where he ends it.
Okay, so yes, we can provide halal food. That's no problem at all. We haven't really put much effort into these markets. However, what I have seen is with everything going online and virtual, like this webinar, like some of the online trade shows, I have already been in contact with agents in markets that we haven't traditionally been very active before. Quite a few Indian agents. Have had some great meetings with them. So it's definitely something that is growing and gaining in momentum. And of course, our doors are open to everybody, whoever can travel. So it's a very good point, and I think it's a very good angle that a lot of people are now looking at, and we're looking at, and we'll see where we can get with it. The reality is some of our more traditional markets like Australia, they're really not going to be traveling for a long time. So we do need to look to places that can travel. And it also takes in-source market training as well. So we very much rely on Botswana Tourism Organization to be in these markets and getting the exposure for the destination, because first and foremost, we need to sell Botswana. And then after that, we need to be selling our individual companies.
Great. Another one that's come through now is Yvonne. She's just wondering what the flying time is from Kansani to Shinde or Akuti, and then thanks you for the webinar and the information.
So that flight time is about 50 minutes to an hour. I always say about because it depends which aircraft you're in. The air vans, they're the smaller ones, go a little bit slower than the caravans. Also, when you're going into the camps, it may be that you have a couple of stops on the way. So you might be stopping at a couple of camps, letting guests on and off with those flights. But the flights are amazing. It's all part of the experience. Within 5 minutes of taking off from Kasane or Maun, you are flying over the wilderness areas, and you can start your game viewing right away. So the flight's definitely part of that experience, and the flight time varies slightly from destination to destination.
Great. Another one's just popped through now. Martha's asking, Fran, where do guests have their COVID test prior to landing back home?
So we haven't got any of the requirements for Botswana yet in terms of the testing requirements, in terms of who will be able to provide these testings, whether tests, will it be able to be done at the airport? That's all a work in progress at the moment from the Botswana government in terms of what the procedures will be. From our standpoint as Ker Downey Botswana, we will obviously do whatever we can and really try and ease the process as much as possible. We are, as an industry, as Chobe Holdings, we are in communication with the government, in communication with the policymakers, and we're really trying to steer them in the right direction in terms of the realities on the ground and how this needs to be rolled out, and really pointing out case studies of what works, what doesn't work. So at the moment, I don't have any definitive answers to that, but once the policy and procedure is in place, then we can communicate that with everybody.
Great. Those are all the important questions done. I just have somebody wondering about the soundtrack on your Donaka video, thinking it's beautiful. Don't know if you know that, but they just enjoyed that.
Cool. Pop me an email. I can find out who it is for you.
Rogan, that was condescending. That was an important question too, buddy.
So just so many questions have popped up.
Thank you so much for everybody. I've seen the numbers, and so many of you have hung in to the end. We were supposed to do an hour, and Andy will kill me because now we're sitting at an hour and 20 minutes. But thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you, Africa in Focus, Andy, Rogan. It's been an absolute pleasure doing this with you. Thank you so much for setting it up. And please, guys, be in touch. I'm here for any other questions. If you need anything from me, just let me know.
Guys, so I'll just quickly take over there. Thanks, Franny. You're an absolute gem, and congrats. There was no reason for you to be nervous. You always are superlative at doing these presentations, and pleasure to work with. So thanks from our side. A massive thank you to everyone that's tuned in and for the extended time taken. I think it's important, guys. We don't always have someone like Fran and being able to have a one-on-one. So I apologize if we've run a little bit over time, but ultimately I think it's been absolutely worthwhile every minute of this webinar. I will drop Fran's direct contact details. So Fran, you might be busy for the next couple of days, but I'm going to drop Fran's direct contact details, email address in that follow-up email. So yeah, if there's any questions that you haven't been able to pose, please feel free. And yeah, you'll have everything that you need at your fingertips to try and start selling KDB as soon as possible. So thanks very much to everyone. This is gonna, these webinars, guys, tend to end quite abruptly, and it's going to be no different today. So we're going to end this off now. Thanks very much, Rogan, for your help. Thanks, Franny, and thanks to everyone. And we'll touch base in the follow-up email. So thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.